Okay.
This is breaking news from Thailand TV.
Welcome back to the second game of our doubleheader, Hockey Night in Thailand. You are watching live from Thailand International Ice Arena in Bangkok. Game 2 today, the Lexicon Lumberjacks and KCG, both teams winners in their opening week matchups. And we expect a fantastic game here from Bangkok. Good evening, everybody, or good morning or good afternoon, wherever you might be watching us from. My name is Adam Gottschalk. Joe Nafis back with me for Game 2, and we're pleased to be joined by Scott Murray. So, guys, as the game's already started, and I don't want to waste too much time on us just babbling as we expect this might be a pretty good one, but tell me what you expect. Scott, you've seen both of these teams compete already this year. What should we look for in this one?
Well, KCG has number 77, Nick Lamson. He's a Thai-American kid. He played for 3 years at Salem State. He's quick, he's abrasive, and he's the guy to watch on that squad. On the other side, there's quite a variety of players, but Kim Airola, number 88, had 2 goals last week. He's also on a Luke Krung on the Thai national team, so he's the one to watch on Lexicon.
And we actually have a quick odd man rush. We're only a minute and a half into the game, and there's a shot, but fired right to the belly, and that was off the stick of Paul Stoddard, forward for KCG. So KCG is wearing the blue jerseys, Lexicon Lumberjacks in the yellow and black. The other way around. I knew that there was a, let's say, 49% chance I was going to get that wrong.
Okay.
So KCG is in the yellow, Lexicon Lumberjacks in the blue. Am I correct this time?
That's right.
All right. So as we look at it here, which is the same way that you're watching it on your television screens, it is Lexicon Lumberjacks moving from right to left and KCG from left to right. Tell me about our goalie matchup. I think we have Lance Parker in net for Lexicon Lumberjacks, and I believe it's Dom Vollenweider who got the start.
The Mad Russian, otherwise known as Rasputin.
And actually on that topic, let's take a look real quick at tonight's away team. You're looking at the names on the screen in the matchup. The numbers that you see may not correspond exactly to what we're actually watching. However, that was the team. We'll tell you a little bit more about these guys as the game goes on. That's a beautiful entry pass, and that was actually in the back of the net, but offside.
Offside. It was a good call. It was an offside. Just saying that the 2 goalies this year, we've actually got 2 goalies on each squad, and these 2 goalies were drafted as backup goalies, but they're both playing tonight as the number 1 goalies are unavailable.
So
they're
who's
both long-term goalies?
Who's starting in net for Lexicon Lumberjacks today?
Lance Parker.
It is Lance Parker. Okay, so you know I didn't get the team jerseys right, but I at least got that right. Right. It's after the first game, which was an 8-4 decision in favor of Aware. The fact that we are 3.5 minutes into this game with no score feels a
bit underwhelming, but we still got a very high energy level with both these teams coming out strong. So we'll see where it goes.
Gabor was actually born in Azerbaijan, so I think he's the only Azerbaijani goalie playing in Southeast Asia. And Lance comes from Kenora. Kenora actually won the Stanley Cup way back in, I think it was something like 1923. It's a very small town near the Minnesota border. So both of these guys have interesting personal histories.
It's a nice hold by Airola. He's the one we were just talking about, wearing number 88 in blue. Kept it into the offensive zone. That's a centering pass and a beauty, but a nice save, squeezing the blocker pads. As I think that was Vatsis who had that one off his stick, but not quite able to thread the needle. He was going 5-hole, but a nice squeeze.
I think that was Mark Vatti. It says Vatsis here, but he goes by Vatti in the dressing room. So
It'll be another offensive zone face-off, and that's Arola taking it and winning it, and a knuckle puck
Number
shot.
6 for Lexicon is Denis Omelka. He's a coach here. He's a very good player from Slovakia.
Denis Omelka had 2 assists in the opening win for Lexicon.
Many think he's the best skater in the league.
That's a nice entry pass. It goes right on through, ends up on the tape of Stoddart. His shot didn't quite get through. The deflection was off the blocker pad, and back the other way comes Lexicon Lumberjacks. That one flipped towards the crease, but a quick turnover. 0-0 our score, and we had an opening couple of minutes where both teams trying to get their footing, but now we start to see some end-to-end action. We are 5 minutes in. There's an offsides. This one's going to come back out to neutral ice. Adam Gottschalk, Scott Murray, Joe Nathis from Bangkok.
Now, if you look at Roman Laren here, interesting story. I can't see his number, I believe.
Number 33 is what I had.
Okay.
Yeah, 33 right in front of us.
He literally just escaped from Russia. He was in Russia about 10 days ago, and he was scared that he was going to be conscripted, but I guess there's three levels, and he was on level 2, and they were nabbing level 1s at immigration as they tried to flee. So luckily Roman was able to go out. He's interesting enough. He's a Russian Jew, and he actually played for the Israeli national team before.
What an incredible story.
He's a very, very interesting guy. He's very hot-headed. He's prone to losing his temper all the time, but he's a very talented player. And he helped actually build the rink here.
This is some. First of all, that is A+ color commentary.
There's some interesting characters in this league, that's for sure.
It's a 1-on-3 and poke checked
The
away.
Russian goalie actually was used to smuggle artifacts when he was 3 years old.
Can we just do a talk show when we get off the air? I want to know so much more about these stories, but we have a hockey game going on.
Yeah. But there's some very colorful. It tends to be the Europeans and the Russians that have a little bit more color than North
Look,
Americans.
I want to turn the attention back to hockey in a second, but he was smuggling artifacts at 3 years old.
His mom used to put him in, wear this big fur coat, and I guess it was at the fall of the Iron Curtain, and she was trying to get a whole bunch of stuff out of Azerbaijan, and he used to put him on a train to Hungary full of, artifacts. So his smuggling career started quite early.
All right, Joe, you're on play-by-play now. I'm just going to sit and listen to Scott tell stories for the rest of this one. We're 7 minutes in, 0-0 to score. KCG in the yellow, Lexicon Lumberjacks in the blue. And it's a 3-on-2 developing if KCG hurries. That's a shot whistled in off the right shoulder. That was Jesse Starasta, who you heard calling the first 2 periods of the first game with us, who got that shot away. Starasta in the yellow, jersey number 11. Puck held in onside by KCG. Both teams scored exactly 5 goals in their first games of the season. Starasta jumping into the play, trying to get a stick in, but that shot was just dribbled in. It was it's number 4 for KCG. Do you? I don't have a number 4 on my roster. Do you know who that might have been for KCG?
4 for KCG?
Adam Williams.
Adam Williams.
Okay.
Now, it's interesting because Jesse, the captain for KCG, this is his first year as captain. All the other 3 captains are returning, but this is Jesse's first year as captain, although he did play for KCG the last time we had a league.
Well, he was an outstanding color commentator in the first game, although your storytelling is unmatched.
Now, I don't know, they've got some guy standing behind the bench there, and I'm not sure who that is.
Meanwhile, we've got a quick 3-on-1. It's a 0-0 game, but quickly KCG trying to change that. Nice play to pick up the rebound, but no shot away, and it dribbles back behind the net. And I think, well, they were looking for an icing call, but play continues. The clock winding to 8.5 minutes, 0-0 in the first period, and you can see this game might be a tense one. Both teams really want to get that upper hand and be the only team in the league to come away 2-0. That was Kim Arola. We've already told you about him. He's wearing number 88. He's on the ice right now in blue. Arola, the biggest star of the week in the first week of the season with a hat trick. We saw that matched by pretty impressive performance in the first game today by, meanwhile, that shot is aside, but Oleg Kabakov had 3 goals in about 5 minutes of gameplay in the first game. Second player in the league this year with a hat trick. Arola was the first, but he'll come off now for the line change. 10 minutes very nearly gone by in a scoreless hockey game. Both teams have had chances, and Joe, we saw the difference in the first game today. Was Aware, who had 8 goals, was getting a lot of deflections. There was a lot of noise in front of the crease, and you can tell that that's the strategy for both teams. You've got guys crashing the net, trying to create some not so easy looks for the goalkeepers.
Absolutely, they're all crashing the nets, making visibility difficult for the goalie, and really hustling back on defense. Both sides, it's kind of a spread out game.
Pretty important offensive zone face-off here from Starosta, who wins it directly back to Alistair Fawcett, but that shot ends up deflected and doesn't make it onto the goalkeeper, and it's quickly back to neutral ice. Lexicon Lumberjacks have been on their back foot defensively for about the last 2 minutes of gameplay, but now they'll try and set the offense, and digging forward in the corner is Charat Wutiprida. Practice that one before we went on the air.
Number 7 for KCG, Brenovic's an interesting story too. He actually flew in from Michigan to play in the league. He's been back in Michigan for the last 6 months, and he specifically came to Thailand to play in the league.
And not only play in the league, but he scored in the opening game this season.
He's played here before, but I mean, he specifically moved back to Thailand to play in the SHL. I mean, usually guys are here for another reason and they end up playing, but he came back specifically to play.
They were looking for Pumtong on the entry pass, but it skips over his stick with a little bit of help from the defenseman deflection. And puck held in, but turned over. And so back the other way, KCG will look to slowly get into their offensive possession and create some space for their playmakers. This is Jan Isaacson coming in. Isaacson turns around, tries to fire one himself, but he's pickpocketed, and now a 2-on-2 back the other way. Leading the charge for the Lexicon Lumberjacks, Kimarolo whistles one off the mark, but the puck's still in, onside. But not for long. And now KCG with Tan Limpinpet coming in to lead the offensive attack. And he'll run into some traffic and slow it down. Nice play on the blue line for the moment to keep it in, but that turns into a turnover, 2-on-1 shot right into the belly of the goalkeeper. 6 shots apiece.
Unfortunately, a lot of the good Thai players that we usually have this year aren't playing with us because they're coaching at the other rink.
Sorry to interrupt you, but while we have one of the very few stoppages, let's have a look quickly at the home team tonight, the Lexicon Lumberjacks. Well, I hope you had a chance in those few seconds to memorize the roster. Things move fast here. That's a shot that kicks in. Man, the goalie went to the splits, and he very nearly got the toe out, but the shot trickled in on the near post, and a 1-0 lead.
So Yari, who just scored, runs a kindergarten in Pitsanulok. And if you know your Thai geography, that's about 600 kilometers away. So he has to either fly here or a 10-hour drive.
So Yari Irakainen, who scored that goal, his second of the season in 2 games. He got one in the opener, and he's gotten one tonight. And that one was a seeing eye laser beam in that bottom left side corner. Left side as we look at it here to the right of the goalkeeper from his perspective, but a nifty goal and the early advantage 13 minutes in for Lexicon Lumberjacks, and they've got possession again, trying to add to it. Centering pass got through, but still onside with possession. Now it's Dennis Omelka who jumps in on the play, and Omelka circles off, feeds one through the legs of Justin Sandenis, and there's a little floater. Didn't quite get all of that. That was the goal scorer. Yari Irakainen didn't quite. Puck was sitting up on it.
He runs a kindergarten in Pitsanulok with his wife, and I mean, so I think he comes the furthest. Nobody travels further to games than Yari.
Done no smuggling though.
No smuggling. But interesting. Justin Sandenis, the captain of this team, works for Lexicon. So Lexicon is like a so-called expansion franchise because this is the first time in the league. They were going to be called the Lexicon Storytellers, but they thought that wasn't tough enough, so they came back with the Lumberjacks. But really, this is it's kind of all. Justin's been a long-time captain, but this is his company who's actually sponsoring the team.
3-on-2, and that was it's kind of an ugly 3-on-2, both offensively and defensively, as defense just didn't get back. You saw Tem, who had a nice scoring opportunity earlier, putting his stick down looking for the puck, but instead it's turned over. Crease, KCG in the yellow, Lexicon Lumberjacks in the blue. 2.5 minutes left in the opening period of play. 1-0 Lexicon our score. And now you know why they have the name Lexicon. This and the storyteller. If storytellers, you can be the storyteller. Scott Murray. Meanwhile, as KCG got into their offense, they saw an opportunity and tried to tuck that one in, but instead it caroms back out to neutral ice. And
now, Jan Isaacson, did you see him, number 8, out there? Right there, trailing.
That's Isaacson.
He's a key member of the Thai national team.
Oh, there was an opening in the corner as that shot lifted high by Tan Limpinpet, but just over the goal cage. I think if he'd gotten that one about 6 inches lower, we'd have a Thai hockey game. But meanwhile, that's Tan himself, who just came back into the offense, and he'll reset. Puck trickles back to neutral, and to stay onside, KCG will have to circle back out and try it again in the game's last 90 seconds here in period number 1. That's Jan Isaacson, who Scott was just telling us about, number 8, battling against the far wall.
He's very tough. He controls the boards.
Isaacson, nice play to get it between his legs to Starasta. Starasta fires across, looking for Adam Williams' one-timer. The pass just a bit behind him, but it stays in KCG's possession. You hear the PA announcer tell us 1 minute remaining, and a nice shot, but just turned aside. That was Brandon Vick, just in for Michigan.
Yep. From 9 Mile, too. Not 8 Mile, 9 Mile.
Is that a thing? Got about a half a minute left, and KCG would really, really like to go into the period break tied. They have certainly been applying the pressure the last 2 or 3 minutes of game time, but nothing doing and taken away by Lexicon Lumberjacks. I want to quickly remind our affiliate stations and our hardworking board ops and producers back home that this is going to be a local break coming up as we reach the end of the period in 10 seconds. So this will be your break coming up as the clock ticks down to the end of the opening period. 1-0 our score. It's Lexicon Lumberjacks with the lead on KCG. This is Hockey Night in Thailand.
This is breaking news from ThailandTV.news. Now all the Thailand news is in one place. The latest reports from around the clock and around the world. Breaking Thailand news from all the world's top news sources, translated into 11 languages and updated 24 hours a day.
Well,
here's Ali with more.
ThailandTV.news has it all. The latest news, weather and sports updates, plus up-to-the-minute events listings and fun things to do in Thailand.
And
that's
a former
not all.
FBI agent, right?
There's also entertainment,
He used to be the
lifestyle,
head
and
FBI
travel
agent
news,
in Thailand.
including
He's
the latest
playing now
visa
number
information.
3.
If it's
And then the
happening in
game
Thailand,
before that,
you'll find
there
it
was
here
another
at
so you've got 2
ThailandTV.news.
retired
It's
FBI
all here
agents.
at
Ed McConnell
ThailandTV.news.
was playing
all the
for,
latest news, weather, sports,
my
they even
team,
cover ice hockey. It's all done at ThailandTV.news. Yes, it's all the Thailand news, all in one place.
1-0 our score, Lexicon Lumberjacks. The lead on KCG as we welcome you back for the second period from Bangkok, Thailand. Adam Gottschalk, Joe Nathis, and Scott Murray. Teams have switched sides as they do in hockey. KCG wearing the yellow and Lexicon Lumberjacks in the blue. In the second period, it'll be Lexicon going left to right as you watch it. Puck right now in possession of KCG, which moves right to left. Shots 8-6 in favor of Lexicon Lumberjacks, and where it matters, the score 1-0 the same way. Out to neutral ice, and you can see racing down the sideline for it was Korenku Prasop, but puck ends up on the stick of KCG. This is kind of how the first period began. They were feeling each other out a little bit. It took 3 or 4 minutes before the game really opened up, and that's what happens when 2 good teams face each other.
You see number 8 just headed off there? substitute Hideki Nakayama. He's a former captain of the Thai national team, and his dad has been the photographer for the SHL for a number of years. When Hideki was younger, he went over to Canada to play and was concussed 3 times. He wasn't used to the hitting game. Anyway, he tried his hand at playing in North America, but
he wasn't used to the hitting game,
well,
so he should have gone to Europe.
Well,
I'm not going to touch that.
I hate to say, I mean in terms of the bigger ice, In the smaller ice in North America, you get hit more. So I'm not making a comment on the European.
I'm just
players.
kidding. I understand.
Just that
this is tell for people who have
and the kids here don't grow up with hitting.
For people who are watching for the first time or aren't familiar with the Siam Hockey League, what's the size and dimensions of the ice that we're playing on today?
Well, this is Olympic size right now. I mean, over the years we've shifted because we've had to play wherever there was ice available. But this rink, which was just opened in March of this year.
Oh, rebound tucked home by Justin Saint-Denis. That puck was lost by the goalkeeper. And he's arguing for something, whether he feels like he was interfered with perhaps, but he didn't get his head around. Maybe he thinks he was restrained or held back, but that was a puck that rebounded off the post. And we'll see. I mean, you're getting some signals that maybe that's going to be waved off. I think they waved it off.
I think the Russian goalie made the call.
Well, either way, the officials agreed. It was a rebound goal that the goalkeeper was interfered with enough to... Not enough to draw a penalty, but enough to wave that goal off. And we stay 1-0.
We're not really sure how that happened, but no goal.
3 minutes gone by in the second period. 1-0 our score, very nearly 2-0. But the puck's still in the offensive possession. That's Saint-Denis who has it, who was nearly the goal scorer a moment ago. 77 in blue, fires a centering pass, did not get through, but gloved down and kept in possession by his teammate Omelka, but only for a moment. And KCG comes back with the puck, trailing 1-0, looking for the equalizer. That's a beautiful slap pass down below, but a nice stop by Lance Parker, the goalkeeper, who went down to the ice, and the puck just ended up tucked between his arm and his body.
Jesse Staros is an interesting guy because he's not the most fluid skater, but he reminds me a lot of Phil Esposito back in the day. He's always in the right place at the right time. And he tends to be a magician in front of the net when the puck's loose. He gets a hold of it and puts it
KCG, sorry to interrupt you, KCG wins the face-off and tried to run a little bit of a set play there, but ran into some traffic. They still have possession, trailing 1-0. Phil Esposito's that's a pretty strong compliment for.
Yeah, well, no, he's got. Esposito scored 76 goals back in the time when 50 goals was very rare.
Meanwhile, that was a quick counter punch and an opportunity, but nice defensive poke check to get possession back for KCG in the yellow. That's Adam Williams, number 4, and he keeps the play alive and feeds it onside, but taken right back. No shot on goal on that opportunity. There's a slap shot fired off the stick of John Shakovsky.
Former FBI agent and the president of the SHL.
Oh man, I really shouldn't get his name wrong then.
It's okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much his power extends when he resigns.
Hey, as a guy with the last name Gottschalk, I am quite sensitive to getting somebody's pronunciation wrong. That's the last thing I want to do.
Well, he goes by the nickname of Shaq or FBI. He loves it because even though he's been retired for a few years, all the Thai police still call him FBI.
Isaacson,
like whereas back in North America, they would have already forgotten about him, but everywhere he goes, people still call him FBI.
Isaacson raced after that one, trying to get an odd man opportunity, but he ends up digging it out of the corner anyway, and a tuck from the right side of the crease is kicked aside. Still KCG's possession, circling is Isaacson, and that one deflected out of play for the whistle.
They've got two of the best Luke Kroon's actually, half Thai, half Western. Jan Eriksson and Nick Lamson on this squad. That's a lot of power. They both have similar games, similar stature, good strong skating styles.
We're 6 minutes gone by in period number 2. 1-0 our score, Lexicon Lumberjacks, but in the yellow with possession and getting a pretty nice opportunity off a centering feed was Isaacson, but the puck deflected away and taken back by Lexicon.
Oh, beautiful
Nice
pass.
pass onto the stick of Pem, but not quite able to retain possession, and Lexicon Lumberjacks will have to circle back out and restart the offense, and we'll get a partial line change on the fly from both sides. Lexicon Lumberjacks, what a
Great
toe
move.
drag move, and the shot fired by Jari Erikainen, but the save made, and
A lot of bodies on the floor.
that was a whole lot happening for what ends up going on the scoreboard as just one shot on goal. And now we'll get the rest of the lines changing, and that was very nearly a too many men on the ice. We had kind of a sloppy line change from Lexicon Lumberjacks, but either way, they jump into the offensive zone. There's a shot that's put on net. Rebound loose. That was a juicy rebound, but it ends up on the stick of KCG. Puck back out to neutral ice after an 8-4 shootout in the first game today. This one, a tense nail-biter, 1-0. Lexington Lumberjacks with possession, looking for more. There it is! The shot from Dennis Omelka rings the iron and bounces home from the top right corner, and it's a 2-0 hockey game.
That was a beauty. They really tired out that goalie. Just so many shots on goal.
It's
couldn't
interesting
take
that
it.
Hideki, who's subbing tonight, his day job is a model. And Patrick Forstner, who you probably saw in the last game,
Oh,
is
man.
also a model. Back in the day, if you were a model and you were playing hockey, guys didn't really, well, you would have got kidded a lot. But these guys are tough. But they're using their looks to make a living. So it's pretty interesting because I just somehow can't imagine.
You know, I've been doing this a long time, and
Dennis Hull or Chico
there's very
Mackey
few
or any of
things.
those guys being models, and they would have just got a kidded mercifully, you know.
There's very few things that somebody can say to me on the air that's going to throw me off, but you just threw me off.
Yeah, they're actually models. They model clothes. I don't know, handbags, but they're in TV commercials. Patrick's been in billboards all over the country. So
Were you ever modeled, Joe?
Unfortunately not.
So it's really funny because, when you think of hockey players, it's typical, you've got gap tooth, scar-faced. You're not usually thinking of model material. But most of the guys are wearing, well, they have to wear visors or cages now. So that, and if they're not, they're keeping their looks more than they were in the old days when even a bucket was considered a bit,
You may not believe this if you're listening without watching, but there is a hockey game happening. And it's 2-0 Lexicon Lumberjacks with the lead on KCG, and they won the offensive face-off and got a quick shot away, but it didn't end up on goal. And KCG in the yellow will circle back to collect and try to salvage something here in the second to send us into the third in a tight hockey game. It's been back and forth, both teams, a lot of opportunities, but somehow shots are now 15-8 in favor of Lexicon Lumberjacks. They've just methodically chipped away, gotten 2 goals on the scoreboard and taken a lead in the shots. And that one rings the iron. Shot off the post from Adam Williams, stays out, and it stays 2-0, and it stays KCG possession. That's a centering pass and a nice defensive play, sliding to block the shot. And there's another block, the second one from Korn Kuprasov. Back-to-back blocks, no shots got through on net. Lexicon Lumberjacks with a 2-0 lead, playing like a team that wants to keep it that way as we get a whistle as the goal's off its moorings.
They're getting a lot of open shots, but a lot of good saves by the KCG
Number
goalie.
4 for KCG is Christoph Anlicker. Interesting last name, but he's a very solid, understated defenseman. He just gets the job done, but he's not flashy, but he's quietly one of the best defensemen in the league.
I apologize if we've gotten that wrong. We've got 2 number 4s. We've got an Adam Williams and a Christoph Anlicker for KCG, both in the 4. However, no matter. What does matter is the 2-0, which is the score, as Lexington Lumberjacks with 6 minutes and 20 seconds left in the second period take possession and come back looking to add 1 more. If you're KCG, you have to feel at this point that you haven't really been outplayed, but the scoreboard doesn't reflect that. It's 2-0.
Not at all. They've had plenty of opportunities, and I'm sure they'll get a few more.
Lexington Lumberjacks in the blue with the puck, trying to run some clock here and tick us down towards the third period. 15-9 now, the shot advantage for Lexington Lumberjacks. The goals in the game from Omelka and Irikainen. It was Irikainen in the first, Omelka just a couple moments ago here in the second, making it a 2-0 game. Meanwhile, the puck is going to be covered up by the goalkeeper. They were whacking at it. They didn't get a whistle, and that's going to go in as a goal. The goalie thought he had it under his pads. He was waiting for the whistle. Meanwhile, the official who was right on top of it said he never had control of it. The puck stayed loose, and now it's in the back of the net. And this is a 3-0 hockey game.
That was Captain Justin Saint-Denis, right? I think it was. You should note that the uniforms the players are wearing tonight and the mismatching socks, these are not the regular uniforms. We've ordered from a company called Job Sports, but they're so busy that they couldn't get us the jerseys on time. But hopefully after the break, our jerseys will be here, and each, obviously the teams have matching socks. So apologize for the way the teams look, but it's the best we could do with short notice because the jerseys weren't ready on time.
Meanwhile, talk about the challenges of getting jerseys in. If you're sitting at home in the US or Canada or Europe or somewhere overseas and you're watching this broadcast, that may sound like something crazy, like why do they not have jerseys? I can't imagine the logistical challenges of operating a hockey league in a country that's not used to it, like Thailand. But man, what a presentation. This is a beautiful arena. This is the first year that this has been fully functional and open, and the ice is in great shape. We talked about that with Jesse in the first game today, actually, of just how nice the ice is. But logistically, to operate a hockey league in Thailand, it's got to be a pretty rewarding challenge.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess when you get into it, you're obviously dealing with the problems all the time, so you don't have time to sit back and congratulate yourself or whatever. There's always some issue that arises. Thank God for the owner, Kun Jumpan, who built this rink and another rink just down the road. Without him, the growth of hockey would be stagnated here. But because both his kids are playing, he got into it. And seeing that there was a need for quality ice rinks, he built two, and he's building a third in Chiang Mai right now. So there's never been a hockey parent who's done more than Kun Jumpan has done for this sport in this country.
That was 5. We've had 3 shots fired in this possession by KCG, trying to get on the board before we get to the second intermission. 2 of them actually picked up deflections, but a nice job keeping it out of the back of the net. It's 3-0 our score. Lexington Lumberjacks the lead over KCG. But you're talking about the arena and how building a hockey rink can really kickstart sort of interest in the sport. I can speak to that firsthand. I was in 7th grade in Charlottesville, Virginia, with a local ice rink open. And until my, 7th grade, 11 years old, until that year, there was no interest in hockey in my small town in the South. However, as soon as that rink opened, all of a sudden you get bus trips organized to the old Capitol Center in Landover to watch the Capitals play. And now there are players from my hometown who've gone on to play college hockey. There's a huge culture around hockey that's kind of developed in Virginia. And it all came from building that first rink, and I think that's the hope in doing something like that here.
No, you guys were here before the first game. You saw the craziness that was going on with the young kids and their families. So they're already. The key is to make hockey fun for the young kids, and it sure looked like they were having a good time earlier tonight. Oh,
certainly. There was a DJ, free food, so many people around.
Yeah, it was wild. That was free donuts.
Yeah, there's hockey. There's hockey parents everywhere, good and bad. But it was very nice to see earlier on. It just seemed like every kid was having a good time.
Kim Rolla rings one off the back wall. And the puck, that was such a hard shot. It ricochets all the way back down to the other end of the ice. We're in the final, sorry to interrupt you, in the final 90 seconds. It's a 3-0 game. Please go ahead. KCG has about 75 seconds left to work to try and salvage something here in the second. They haven't really been significantly outplayed, but at the moment, they trail, but it's 3-1, not 3-0, because that is the first goal of the game for KCG, and I think that was David Bohr who got that one. Second goal of the year for Bohr. He scored in the opener and he scored today.
Canadian boy.
And it's 3-0, now 3-1. And psychologically, that's a huge difference going into the third period.
Totally. That'll lift their sails, give them another second chance to get back in this in the third period.
Hey, I know everybody back in the studio is so wrapped up in this entertaining hockey game that we don't want you to forget that this is going to be a local break coming up. So for our board operators and our producers back in the studio, it's a local break coming in about half a minute when we reach the end of the second period. We still have 17 minutes left, and man, I think this is going to be a pretty exciting finish. 3-1 our score, and KCG looking to add one more, but instead it's a counterpunch 2-on-1 with 10 seconds left in the period. Rishut sneaks in, and a last-second goal from Lexington Lumberjacks, and just like that, it's back to a 3-goal margin. How big is that? It's Pem who got it as the clock hits 000. This is Hockey Night in Thailand.
So, did you listen to many of the Capitals games? Were you a Capitals fan? Did you listen to
Die Hard.
I really got the feeling today. Oh no, he went to my high school. He was a punter in my high school. Well, he's 3 years older than me, so I followed him. But he played for he got a scholarship to Clark University. But he was in the Rod Lang.
From Bangkok, Thailand, it is Hockey Night in Thailand. If you didn't get that from my first part of the introduction, we welcome you back to the third period of what is suddenly a 4-1 lead. Lexington Lumberjacks over KCG. It was 3-0 with a minute left in the third period. KCG scored to make it 3-1. And then a last-second answer from Lexington Lumberjacks just took the wind out of the sails of KCG. And now I believe it's going to be Lexington with a 3-goal advantage going to their first power play.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think Lexicon has to really score now. Hold on, sorry.
Adam Gottschalk, Joe Nafis, and Scott Murray here from Bangkok in a 4-1 lead. Both these teams entered with a 1-0 record after winning in their opener.
KCG has got to get a goal here to get back into this. Interesting enough, Lexicon is missing their best player tonight. They're missing Ken Kinborn, who's arguably the best player in the league. He's been replaced by Hideki Nakayama, but still they built up this 4-1 lead without their best player.
Well, KCG has to get back into this hockey game. First, they have to kill this penalty.
Yeah.
As Lexington moving from right to left as you watch it here, wearing the blue jerseys, KCG in the yellow. Got a minute 55 left on the power play. Power plays are 2.5 minutes in this league, as that one ends up in the netting. We'll get a face-off. And the reason why they're 2.5 minutes instead of 2 is because we don't get the clock stopping on the whistles.
Now, interesting, number 77, Justin Sedany, the captain, is a stand-up comedian. So I urge you, I mean, he does shows in Khao-San Road, he does shows around, like his day job is working as a copywriter, but his night job is stand-up comedy.
Can post-game show? I'd pay to listen to you two together on microphone.
Well, he's pretty funny. So, I mean, the problem is most of him is pretty racy humor, though, but...
KCG gets a clear, and so do we, thankfulully, as we get to change the topic and reset. Lexington Lumberjacks, that was a leave that turned into a turnover and is going to give...
From 9 Mile, the only guy in the league from 9 Mile, Michigan.
It's going to give KCG a chance for their second clear. We're down to less than a minute left in the man advantage for Lexington Lumberjacks. And the first step towards coming back in this hockey game is killing off this penalty. But a lot of work to do. It's 4-1. Lexington Lumberjacks 4 goals on 18 shots. KCG 1 goal on 16. And there's another clear that sends this down the length of the ice, where it's played by Parker, who has been outstanding in this hockey game. He's saved 15 of 16, and his team has a 3-goal lead and 20 seconds left to try and get something going on the game's first power play. Winner of this game becomes the only team in the league to go to 2-0, and looking for the deflection. That it's going to whistle high, and we're going to end up, I believe, officially with, as the seconds tick off the penalty, that's going to be 0 shots on the power play. But we very nearly had a good opportunity from Pan Hongswati right after the power play expired. Either way, we're back to full and even strength.
Interesting. Number 4, Adam Williams, is from North Carolina. And there's another player, he's not playing tonight, Eric Fowley, who plays for Aware, who's also from North Carolina. So not considered a hockey vet necessarily, but the SATL has 2 players from, I believe it's Raleigh, North Carolina.
Well, I think, again, I can make jokes about it because I also grew up some of the time in North Carolina, so I can make some jokes about that. But I will also say that we were talking about rinks opening, and the Carolina Hurricanes started playing. Yeah. Obviously, that changed the entire nature of hockey in Raleigh and the Research Triangle.
They've got a diehard fan base.
We are 4.5 minutes into period number 3. It's a 4-1 advantage for Lexicon Lumberjacks over KCG. Lumberjacks wearing the blue with possession and just playing a little dump and chase into the corner where Koren Kuprasov will collect. And now, for the first time in quite a while, we maybe see an odd man rush the other way for KCG. They look for the centering pass, and it just skips over the stick of Limpinpet. And that one goes without a shot on goal. What a move from Promtong, who comes in and shoots just off the blocker pad. No goal, but what a move from Promtong.
That was
Meanwhile,
quite a move.
back the other way. Now we're starting to see the ice open up a little bit. That's not what you want if you're Lexicon Lumberjacks with a 3-goal lead, but it's certainly what you need if you're KCG.
That's right. At this point for the Lumberjacks, they just want to maintain possession and just kind of run down the clock, but we're getting it's becoming a little more messy.
Just another interesting Carolina story, but South Carolina this time. Oh, that's onside.
It's a pass onside, but a little slow developing as Lamson had to make sure he was onside when he collected that pass, and that allowed the defense to come back and catch up. Please, I'm interested in your stories. Go ahead.
Well, there's this guy called Rory Rollick. He played in the American Hockey League for a number of years, played in ECHL. He played in South Carolina. Bear with me for a second.
Meanwhile, that is a laser beam of a shot from
myself in North Carolina geography stood up here.
Kuprasov. I'm going to continue talking about the game.
He played for the South Carolina Stingrays about 10 years ago. So he was playing, and one of the kids in attendance was Eric Fowley. Fast forward 10 years. We're playing at a rink called Samron in the west part of Bangkok. We're playing shinny one night. Eric shows up. It's his first night. He hasn't played in a long time. And Rory's on the ice. The last time he's seen Rory's playing for the South Carolina Stingrays.
Got a whistle, and I believe we have a tripping call, and it's going against KCG, which is going to put Lexicon with the lead back on the power play for the second time here in the third period. We have a trip and a man advantage for Lexicon, and with 10 minutes left here in the third period, you take another 2.5 off the clock, and we talked about whether they were going to play conservative here in the third, but by being aggressive and not playing conservative, they've now drawn 2 penalties, which is a pretty significant thing when you get a 3-goal lead late in the game. If we don't have any stories about that, let's talk more about stand-up comedy in North Carolina.
No, but it was just funny because this kid had gone to see Rory play as a spectator 10 years ago. Fast forward a decade later, they're on the same ice, and the kid walks in and he sees this guy that he admired, and now he's playing shinny with him. in a different part of the world. It was very strange.
Sports is a beautiful thing.
I mean, I didn't tell the story very well, but it was a weird kind of set of circumstances.
Who were the guys from your hometown who you grew up idolizing? Who were the guys in hockey that you knew when you were a kid that you could emulate?
Right around the corner I went to school right around the corner from Matthews Gardens, so I spent most of my formative years sneaking into the gardens, watching guys like Darryl Sittler, Lanny McDonald, Borja Salming, Ian Trimble. The Maple Leafs of the mid-'70s were the players that I kind of idolized and grew up with.
You've seen the development of hockey.
But I remember number 8, Hideki, who just made that rush. I remember when he first started playing with us, and we were 10 years old, and he literally came up to my waistline. And now you look at him, and he's, I'm a fan on that one, but he's a former captain of the Thai national team, and he's one of the better players in Thailand. So the kids have made a big progression here in a short time.
Isaacson, now this time, I believe KCG has drawn a penalty. We have a delayed call as their goalie leaves the ice. KCG has not had a man advantage. They're going to have an abbreviated one as Lexicon is still on the power play for another 1 minute.
Oh.
And meanwhile, with a 6, well, I guess we're back to even strength now with the goalie pulled. It's 5-on-5. Still no change in possession. They are just running time to give themselves the longest possible man advantage, and that's a shot deflected in. So now it's 4-2, 7.5 minutes left.
It's going to be interesting.
The last thing I was going to say, though, on the topic is you're talking about Hideki Nagayama. To bring this home for me, being a guy from Virginia, watching, as we talked about back in the first or second period, the development of youth hockey after our first arena opened. Washington Capitals have a player named Joe Snively, who's the first player of the Washington Capitals Little Caps Youth League team to actually develop, play college hockey, and end up with the big league club. And it's nice to see the investment in youth hockey paying off with guys growing up and actually working their way to the NHL level.
Well, also, and they traded him, but the Caps had the first NHL player with a Thai parent, Jonas Sigenthaler. His mom is Thai. He's with the New Jersey Devils now, but he was drafted by the Caps and made his debut with the Caps.
Won a Stanley Cup with the Caps.
Yeah.
That was Phelps, by the way, who got credit for the goal for KCG. It was I don't know the last time I saw a goalie pulled for that long. That was a solid half minute in which there was a delayed penalty called against Lexicon Lumberjacks. But either way, we've got 6.5 minutes left, and if KCG can get one more here, we are going to have a thrilling finish. 6 minutes, 20 seconds left in the hockey game. And that is another delayed penalty. Joe, you saw it. I didn't see what happened.
I didn't see it.
I believe we're going to have a KCG power play. Somehow, by the way, if you look at the numbers on the scoreboard up above us, KCG, despite a 2-goal deficit, they have the advantage in shots. They've been trailing throughout the game in the shot counter, but it's now 20-19 KCG and a 2.5-minute power play, trailing by 2 with 5.5 minutes left of the game, and a nice hold into the blue line to keep this. That shot was whistled wide. But to keep this in and keep the offensive possession for KCG, you cannot squander this power play. Trailing by 2 in the late stages of the game. If they get a goal here, then we have a pretty exciting finish coming. There's a shot and a goal, a deflection, and I think that was Roman Laren who got it. I think Laren got his stick down and poked that one home on the centering pass from the elbow right, just behind the goal line. Pass flung towards the crease, and I think Laren got a piece of it as it came across. And it's now 4-3. It was 4-1 earlier in the third period.
The interesting thing here is that the Lexicon bench looks deflated right now. Their heads are down. Their confidence looks low, and the momentum of the game has gone over to KCG.
It was Laren who got credit for the goal. We saw him in front of the crease with his stick down. Meanwhile, there's a takeaway. Limpinpet nearly got past the defense. He'll circle back out, and he'll come to collect. Somebody's lost a stick. Meanwhile, there's a deflection low, and oh my goodness, it was that close. And it's pumped home. Are you kidding me? Jan Isaacson has tied the game.
You could just sense that was going to happen. I mean, the momentum shifted totally. Everyone on the KCG bench was up. The Lexicon looked defeated. Talk about a momentum shift.
You know, that nearly happened 10 seconds earlier. I mean, that was very close to a game-tying goal just before the second opportunity on the possession.
Wow.
Isaacson gets the goal as he tucks that one in on the far post. And what do you know?
That Pittsburgh Penguins shot caller, he had the craziest analogies. Oh, I forget his name now.
We are tied 4-4. It was 4-1 in the third period, and looking for more. The game's not over yet. A 3-goal explosion in the final minutes by KCG has tied it up, and we have 3 minutes and 13 seconds left to decide this in regulation. Here's a 3-on-0 and a goal! Nick Flampson! 5-4 KCG!
3 quick goals and they take the lead. What a comeback. Yeah, the Lumberjacks look really deflated at this point.
That is 4 unanswered goals in the last 6 or 7 minutes of game time, and we have an obvious timeout used by Lexicon Lumberjacks and Captain Justin San Denis. So with 2.5 minutes left, exactly 2:42, clock will stop. And man, I'm not sure what happened, but this has been a fantastic hockey game.
In the second period, Lexicon thought they had this sewn up. They were cocky, they were strutting around, they thought they had this won. So you really got to give credit to KCG for coming back here.
KCG's done a great job of maintaining possession and really taking their time to get quality shots.
Look, if you're watching this, wherever you are, how great is hockey?
Oh man, it just switched so quickly.
2:42 left, 5-4 our score, KCG. Man, if you got up to go get a snack or a cold one or walk the dog, or man, you've missed a pretty memorable explosion here in the third as KCG's turned a 4-1 deficit into a 5-4 lead. We've got 2 minutes, 22 seconds left, and the Lexington net is empty as they're going to gamble on an offensive possession and try and get some spark here. The net is empty, and KCG has the puck and looking to fire one in, but having it deflected away was Starostad. Down to 2 minutes left, and facing a yawning net. That was Laren who scored the tying goal, had it on his tape, but it was poke-checked away. And now Lexington Lumberjacks will come away and try and mount some kind of an offensive charge, looking to get the equalizer. Man, that was a pretty surprising turn of events here in the third period. And as we will watch the battle in the corner, I'm going to tell you, by the way, that I want to thank all the members of our crew for both games today. This has been a pretty exciting day of hockey, and we're so glad to have the opportunity to bring it to you. Our Hockey Night in Thailand crew, the absolute best in the business, as that shot deflected high.
It was interesting because you remember late in the second period, sorry.
Now I just want to finish real quick. Before we run out of time, our executive producer, Keith Mueller, our camera operators, let me try that again in English. Our camera operators are Papan, Jin, Ellie, and Opor, Tanya, and Sonia. That shot high and misses wide. My name is Adam Gottschalk, Scott Murray, Joe Nathis, and thanks to all of our hardworking crew, both here and in the studio. There's a shot deflected high. We've seen a couple high. We've got 40 seconds left. 5-4 our score. Empty net, 6-on-5. That one took a weird carom in front of the cage, but misses the mark. Meanwhile, a centering pass fed down low. We've got 30 seconds left as Lexicon Lumberjacks applying the pressure. And are you kidding me? They've tied it up.
Wow.
Wow, you wanted a game, we got one.
Though, right? Like that one, that was not the board's fault. That was deflected. We were already given the victory to KCG, so this goes to show this game has had everything. It looks like we're going to overtime here.
Look at the body language from Lexicon. They're angry. There's no celebration. They know they had this game in hand at 4-1.
They look quite determined to take this home.
There's so much momentum here.
We still have 15 seconds left. We might see 2 more goals. This game, halfway home, was 1-0. Now it's 5-5.
Wow.
And with 3, then 2, then 1, the final seconds tick off the clock. The buzzer sounds and regulation is over. It's 5-5. Scott, how does overtime work here? I guess we'll wait and see. We've got 5.
I'm pretty sure it's 3-on-3 for 4 minutes. I can't even remember the rules.
Well, we've got 5 minutes.
It's been a while. I mean, I made the rules. I just can't remember them.
3-on-3, right?
3-on-3 for 4 minutes, I think.
All right, let me explain this to the people who are watching, as everybody's off microphone and we're all cross-talking trying to figure out what's happening. But let me try and translate this to those who are watching at home. The scoreboard says 5 minutes. That's the best we have to go on right now.
John's just gone over. That's John Shagnosky, the president. Now, I know I should know this, but he's going to go over to explain to them what the deal is.
Okay, so real quick, while we have a chance, let's just let the players and officials sort this out. You guys tell me what we've just seen. Explain to me what happened in the third period.
Sorry?
What did we just see? First of all, how did KCG tie this up?
Both overconfident. I mean, earlier in the game, Lexicon had a 4-1 lead and they thought they had the victory. Then we saw an amazing comeback by KCG to jump in front 5-4, and then they thought they had the victory. So both teams got overconfident and let their guard down, and when they did, the other teams took advantage. So rightfully so, and we've got a 5-5 tie going into 3-on-3 overtime with 5 minutes.
Well, that's what we need after, 5 goals in about 2 minutes is more open ice. It's 3-on-3 for the next 5 minutes in a 5-5 game between 2 unbeaten teams, both looking to take over sole possession of first place in the league, and trying to end it quickly was Lampson, but that one stopped and the whistle sounds. Nick Lampson had a critical goal in the process of the comeback for KCG.
Lampson's great because he's from Jersey. You know what I mean? So you talk to him, and it's just like everybody here is pretty reserved, very quick, cautious about what they say, but he's so Jersey.
All right, Lampson is in the face-off circle, and he's digging it out. So far, puck's still loose, but it ends up claimed by KCG. 3-on-3 overtime for the next 4 minutes and 10 seconds in KCG with the puck, and so far, still holding the line and looking for a centering pass across the big, wide open ice. We saw 4-on-4 for a while after matching Miners in the first game today. That led to 2 quick goals. Now, with even more open ice, there's a shot flung towards the crease looking for a deflection, and instead we get the first possession of overtime for Lexicon Lumberjacks. Now back 2-on-1. There's a shot, and it's blocked.
Back at Jesse's foot.
It was blocked before it reached the goalkeeper. That was the opportunity from Hideki Nagayama.
End action.
So now 90 seconds gone by. We've got 3.5 left, and there's a turnover. Waiting for it and scoring the game winner is Kim Arola. Lexicon Lumberjacks will walk it off with the win. Arola, patient, put it home, hit the back of the net, and the game's over.
He held onto it at the very end. He juked out the goalie.
6-5 the final, and what a hockey game this was.
You can see how excited they are coming back after that game.
Kim Arola, who had a hat trick in the season opener, scores the game winner in overtime.
Camera.
And before the game, we talked about how important Kim Arola was for Lexicon Lumberjacks. And guess what? After the hat trick in the opening game, it's Arola who scores the walk-off winner. Adam Gottschalk, Joe Nathis, and Scott Murray, our producer sitting next to me. I'm not sure if we can see him on camera, but the great Keith Mueller, who brought this to you today. Guys, I cannot begin to tell you how entertaining this hockey game was, but I hope that you had a chance to watch all of this with us. Final thoughts on the game, Joe?
Well, it was exciting as we expected it to be. It came down to the very, very wire, overtime even. Fantastic.
Scott, your
Great
final
game.
takeaway.
Good job, guys. It's a privilege and an honor to have both of you here, and thanks so much for doing the hard work in broadcasting the game, because we were really lost for commentators, and not only did we get you, we get quality. So thank you very much.
Well, I'll let that be the final thought. I'll take that I'll take the compliment as the way that we finish our broadcast today. 6-5, the final. Lexicon Lumberjacks moved to 2-0. KCG with the loss. And man, this is a loss that, if there's such thing as a moral victory, this is a loss they can feel really good about. But they do fall to 1-1. So that's it from here. Final score today was 6-5. Lexicon Lumberjacks. We talked so much about North Carolina, I had Lexington on the mind. My name is Adam Gottschalk, again, on behalf of our crew, all the hardworking men and women who made this broadcast possible, and Joe Nafis and Scott Murray with me here. This has been Hockey Night in Thailand. Can't wait for the next one. Hope to see you here.
This has been a presentation of Thailand TV.tv, winner of the SHL Golden Mike Award for Excellence in Broadcasting for Hockey Night in Thailand.